Hello, I'm Joshua Kitts of the Composed Dream Game RPG Marketplace. Today we're going to take a nice close look at the Fight Survive Martial Arts Meets Heart combat cards, which we have just gotten in. I'll be flipping the camera in a little bit and pulling these out and having a closer look. These go for 25 Canadian. They are a companion to Fight Survive Martial Arts Meets Heart, which is a beautiful color, multi-generational, grounded martial arts role-playing game. Right now, there is a crowdfunder going on crowdfunder.com for Solo Martial Blues, which uses the same engine as Fight Survive and is a solo play RPG. It's going to be a similar size and format to this, as I understand it. Please go check that out. There'll be a link to that below. There'll also be a link to where you can get copies of this from our Canadian site or our UK site, and this from our Canadian site. Right now, until the end of February, while that crowdfunder is running, the PDF of Fight to Survive is just $15 Canadian on our Canadian site. Okay, so I'm going to talk very, very briefly about this before we look at this in detail. So, how does Fight to Survive work? What's different about it? It is diceless. Things are based off of choice, so you're selecting moves when you're getting into a fight. You're selecting approaches if you're trying to overcome something in a more sort of social combat, or not combat, but in a social engagement, or you're just trying to show off. You might be doing something what they call by the numbers, so based off of ratings you have in your techniques, which also map to approaches. So there's 5 things you have techniques in, and those also correspond to approaches in different situations that you can apply to them too as well. You also have comforts, which are things that your character cares about a lot. When your comforts come under threat, which is one of the main things that the GM does, he puts your comforts under threat, you take hardship, and if you save that or take some downtime, you can reduce that hardship through your comforts. You are going to get hurt in this game. You are going to get beat up. You're going to retire. It's very grounded. It's very realistic. You are a normal, average person trained in martial arts who is on the mean streets and gets into fights. Very much inspired by a wide array of 70s and even 80s films, martial arts films, fighting films. Cobra Kai is a great, so the Karate Kid and then Cobra Kai is a great touchstone for this. It's multi-generational in the sense that a year or 2 or even 3 often will go by in a game session, and there are certain things you can do once a year, including train up your techniques and improve. You'll retire, and hopefully you'll have a successor to carry on your martial lineage, and there are rules for that. It definitely draws on inspiration from Amber Diceless. I know James has run Amber a lot, and Pendragon for the generational aspect. I know he's played and run that a fair bit a lot. The whole comfort and hardship does remind me a little bit about this game called Tech Noir, though there's other games that have similar aspects to them. Okay, let's take a closer look at these cards. I'm going to flip the camera around, and we're going to do that. Alright, hopefully I've got the lighting and everything pretty good. So here we've got the deck of cards. I have had a quick look at this, but I have not gone through the whole thing or been super close. Now, the deck here goes for 25 Canadian on our site. We have our basic move cards. Do you need this to play the game? No, but I think it is helpful. So we're pretty clear that we've got basic move cards, we've got some mooks. When I played before these cards were in stock, we actually used some old business cards and just wrote down the moves that we were going to do on them. And then we have instructions, a map of New Hope City, you can hand that to whoever's the aggressor, in the fight, and we've got a basic overview of all the moves. So we've got footwork, block, kick, punch, grapple, and how they compare to each other. Some people find it easier if you rotate that. So we've got 2 of those for everybody, and we've got an overview of how you do the first swing, posturing. So posturing was when each side picks usually 3 moves. But if you have some sort of advantage, you might get 1 extra one. Such as taking a cheap shot. But normally, martial artists don't do that, of course. You've got to prove that you're the best. So why don't we take, we've got a pro wrestler here. We'll take a quick look at that, because that might help. So, is that going to resolve the way I want it to? Maybe not quite as good. Focus is a little off. But you've got the ratings in the moves. So this fella has a high rating in grapple and a high rating in block, as can be expected. You have a health track. Characters also have a hardship track, which is how much hardship they took. So we have a whole bunch of quick fighters that the GM can use, along with standard sequences that they're probably going to use in a fight. So this is going to say, if they're eager, they'll go kick, punch, punch, and if they're or maybe block, kick, kick, as their selection of moves, which then you issue 1 against each other. So we do have some special move cards, which you might customize. And then it shows what the move is, so you'd select that as the player and be like, I'm going to use this. You set it aside. Hidden. I'm going to use footwork. I'm going to pick a block, and I'm going to pick a punch, say, and certain moves from certain moves. So the opponent would do the same secretly, usually the GM, Game Master, of course. So if the GM tossed out punch as their first move, we know that based just off this card that, hey, footwork will beat punch, or grapple will beat punch. Now, did we pick either of those? We picked footwork, so we'll respond with that. And then the GM would pick a move, and then you'd have these 2 moves left to try to defeat them. So cards are very handy because it very clearly shows what move beats what, and it's an easy way to facilitate play at the table. So the cards are nice for resolving things. I think it's a great bonus that there's a whole bunch. I think, is there 15? Of like kind of standard fighters with different themes. So we got, a biker brawler, an aristocratic boxer, a ninja assassin, all sorts of fun stuff. That you could just grab. Now, none of these, I'm looking at these in detail again for the first time. I don't think any of these replicate anything that is in the book, which again is a good value add. There's a great page in the book that I'm going to see if I can find real quick and show y'all that has a big list of fighters. These are some example characters. I'm going to see if I can find full character sheet at the end there. I don't think I'm going to be able to find it quickly. Stock fighters on 302. So there are some more detailed stock fighters here. And then we have a whole list of opponents. Again, this isn't quite showing up as well on the camera, I think, as I'd like it to. But hopefully this gives you a right idea. That's their rating, their hardship, the martial arts they took, some comforts they have, sort of how they look, and then because it's multi-generational, what year this person would typically be from. I ran this game and picked people from a bunch of different times, just as I felt they fit the game. So it was a really handy, useful way to get a game going. All right. Hopefully that's given you a good look at things. Okay, so if there's interest, I'd probably be happy to talk a little bit more in detail about this and how my session went that I ran with some folks here in Ottawa. I also did play this with James before, the original Kickstarter for this. I hope it's piqued your interest in checking out the Kickstarter for his solo play version, especially if you're interested in solo play. If you're looking for something pretty different, if you've never played a diceless game before, this is a really interesting one. If you like martial arts films or movies, this is a really excellent one to pick up. If you just find them interesting, you can get into pretty detailed with your martial arts and so on, but this plays without really needing to know much of anything about martial arts and how they work. You can just build your character, have fun, have a successor. You definitely have kind of that rivalry things going on with other fighters in the city. This one did get a nomination for best setting for Indie Groundbreaker Awards. So that's something to keep in mind too. There's some really great content for all the different years and decades of New Hope City. Our next video will probably be either on Centurion, who's by Fraser Ronald of Swords Edge Publishing, who's designer based here in Ottawa, or After the War by Genesis of Legend, who's just across the river here in Gatineau. So we'll have a look at one of those next, probably. It's been a while since I've done a video. I'm very happy to be doing them again. I hope I'd love any feedback. If you have any comments about this video, about the format, about what I could do better, about what you'd like to see next, please let us know. Thanks, and good gaming.